Hi everyone, welcome you all with my question set 15 for the database management system. Here, this is the last question of the scenario that we have began in the my video 11, and I show you here in my video 11 I have created this user table and then customer table in question set 12 and also the supply table, and again in the video 13 I have discussed about creating this product table and GRN table and also the stock table, and in my previous video 14 I have discussed how I am creating this invoice table also. So this is the last question. This is the last question related to the scenario we have discussed in the video 11, and here I have to describe here we have to discuss about the relationships between the tables we have created in my previous videos related to this scenario, and here let's look on this. And for the first question it says that what is the database relationship between the supplier table and the GRN table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So let's see on the ER diagram we have created up to now, and here is the supplier table and the GRN table. So here this is GRN table and this is the supplier table. So between these two tables we have to create a relationship. If you can understand this, a GRN is the good receive node. So for a single good receive node, there can be many suppliers. But for a single supplier, there can be only one good receive node. So we have to create a one-to-many relationship between those two tables. So we are going to place here the one-to-many relationship between the GRN table and the supplier table view. So I am clicking this one-to-many relationship, and for the main table, then for the one table here. So this is how I have created the relationship between the supply table and the GRN table. So let's look on the next sub-question. What is the database relationship between the GRN table and the product table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So here we have to look on that here. GRN table and the product table, I show you it. Here this is the GRN table and this is the product table. So in here this is same as before. That means for a single GRN there can be many products. That means GRN is not what means that GRN means GRN is the abbreviation for the good receive node. So for a single GRN there can be many products, but for a single product there can be one GRN at a one time. So at once. So here I have to create one-to-many relationship between those two tables also. So I am clicking the many table first and then the one table. So here this is the way I have created the relationships between the supply table and the GRN table, and also product table and the GRN table. Let's look on the next sub question. What is the database relationship between the product table and the stock table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So again we have to see here product table and the stock table. Here this is the product table and this is the stock table. Those are too far away, so I'm getting it near this. We can move this. Okay, this is the stock table, the customer table, invoice, then the GRN. Okay, this is the stock table. So we have to create a relationship between the product table and the stock table. Here, as usual way, that you can understand that for a single stock there can be many products. That means for a single product there can be many stocks. So here in this product table the stock ID can be duplicated if I put this stock ID here in normal way. If I put the stock ID by creating a new column for the stock ID, the stock ID may be repeated. So because of that, I have to create the relationship between these two tables. So for a single product, there can be many stocks. That means if we gain an example about that, if we get an example for an iPhone X product, so here for a single product there can be many stocks. For a single stock there can be only one product in a single time. So here we have to create another one-to-many relationship between these two tables also. So here the many table and then for the one table. So this is how I have created the relationship between product table and the stock table. So let's look here. What is the next sub question? What is the database relationship between the product and the invoice table? Write it down in the ER diagram. Okay, let's see. Here this is the product table and this is the invoice table. So I'm getting this here. Okay, then the product table, then here the stock table. Then here the invoice table. Okay, so we have to create the relationship between this product table and the invoice table. So if you notice that when you buy a product from a shop, within that invoice there can be many products. But for a single product at a time, there can be only one invoice that the product can be added. So here we have to create the one-to-many relationship between the invoice table and the product table here also. So I am placing the one-to-many relationship. That means for a single invoice there can be many products. And this is how I have created the relationship between these two tables. And also let's look on the next question. What is the database relationship between the customer table and the invoice table? Write it down in the ER diagram. Here we have to consider about the customer table and the invoice table. So here this is the customer table and this is the invoice table. So I am placing this product table here. Without overlaying the relationships. Okay, this is the invoice table and this is the customer table. So we have to create the relationship between those two tables. So for an invoice there can be only a single customer at once. That means a customer can buy products to one or more invoices. So here for a single invoice, the customer ID here can be repeated. So because of that we are creating the one-to-many relationship between these two tables also. So here this is the many side and this is the one side, and this is the way that we have created the one-to-many relationship between the customer table and the product table, invoice table. And okay, I'll give you a mini experience here. And the relationships has been overlaid. That's the reason. This is the invoice table and this is the product. I show you the relationships clearly. Customer, then invoice. This stock table. Okay. You can see here between these two tables, invoice table and the customer table, there is a one-to-many relationship. And here between the invoice and the product table, there is also one-to-many relationship. That means gradually and automatically this invoice table between this customer table and the product table, there had been created many-to-many relationship. That means for that many-to-many relationship, this is the intermediate table. That means we have created it manually as invoice table. So here between this stock table and the product table there has been created a one-to-one relationship, and between this GRN table and the product table, it has been created a one-to-many relationship also, and here also a one-to-many relationship, and this is the way we have to create. And this is the final layer diagram that we have developed from my video 11 to this video 15. So at last, let's forward engineer this model and let's see how these tables appear in my local instance also. And I'm clicking this next, then it says password is required, and click OK, the next, and again next. Then let's execute in the forward engineer script. Then the read back changes made by the server, the save synchronization state, and all the things had been done, and I'm saving this model to the current file. Okay, it had been saved, and I'm going to local instance again, and I'm refreshing it. You can see here for the next mobile DB, this is the next mobile DB we have created. These are the tables, here customer table, GRN table, invoice table, product table, stock table, and the supply table. Then also the user table has been created. Here for the supply table, you can see, the customer table, this is the GRN table. This is the supplier, supply ID, product. These are the foreign keys, and like that way the database has been forward engineered in a regular manner, in correct way, and we can see it by going to this local instance. And this is the way I have answered to the scenario I have given in the question 11. And after this video 15, I think that you can gain vast knowledge about how we can create a database using the MySQL Workbench tool with the model here in file model, new model with the model, and how we can forward engineer it, how we can create the relationships between tables. And let's meet with the next video soon, and thank you for joining with me in this video.